Hola, buenas noches a todos los que nos están acompañando en Estira tu dólar el día de hoy. Estoy muy emocionada de estar aquí. Ven que estoy un poquito sola aquí en los lados, pero no quiere decir que no tenemos una invitada el día de hoy. Estoy muy emocionada de presentar a Jeanette Oi-Suk Yew. Hi, Janet. Thank you for being here today. I'm very, very excited and very honored to have you tonight.
Hi, I'm sorry that I lost my internet for a second there.
It's okay. It's okay. It was for the suspense. Era el suspenso. Well, I'm very excited to have you here tonight. I know you are a UW grad, I think to the state of Washington. We got to give some props. And I absolutely love everything that you do. I'm a huge fan of theater and everything that has to do with the arts and the Wizard of Oz and children's theater. And of course, Emmy award-winning everything. I'm so honored to have you here.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here talking to Washington people, which is so funny. Like, I'm not in Washington, sadly, but I love Washington State.
Yeah. So where are you visiting us live from tonight? Are you in New York or Minneapolis?
No, tonight I'm actually in Chicago tonight.
Oh, Chicago.
Yeah.
Great. Well, welcome.
Thank you.
Well, let's get started. I have so many questions in little time, and I want to get to know everything about you. So, so something that I really enjoy doing with a lot of the guests here is getting to know the person behind the talent. So, tell me a little bit of, let's start with your story, I guess. Like, how did you discover your passion for the arts?
That's a very complicated, windy journey. I actually was born in Detroit, but I grew up in Hong Kong. I went back to Hong Kong when I was little, about 4 years old. And my grandparents are actually film directors and actors in Hong Kong and in Taiwan, in the 50s, 60s into the 70s. However, my mother's generation, they were not involved with the arts. However, my mother is a big fan of the arts. So growing up, we always go see theater. And I remember seeing Waiting for Godot when I was 12 years old.
Oh, wow.
Which I have no idea what it was about. Just remember that moment of everybody sitting together. Well, then fast forward many years when I was in University of Washington, I actually double major business administration, accounting, and also theater. But I got offered a job when I finished on my business degree.
Oh, wow.
And I thought, wow, job, no more student loan. That sounds great. So then I took the job instead of finishing up my theater degree. And meanwhile, I was in this Fortune 500. I actually worked for Fluke Corporation up in Everett, Washington. And I worked there for a couple of years and kind of got a little bored with a 9-to-5 full-time job. So I decided that, well, I'm just going to go back to theater and volunteer, and which I did, and I did a couple of different things, and then eventually find myself really starting to do lighting design a lot back in the day when Seattle have a lot of fringe theaters.
Yeah.
And so then I decided that, well, I don't really believe in living a life of what if. So I decided that, well, I should finish my theater degree. I went to grad school instead. I went to California Institute of the Arts, and then I got my lighting design degree, and then I came to New York. And then the rest was history. I was just started doing it. And now I'm here.
Wow. That's so wonderful. I think it definitely speaks to, your path chooses you. You don't choose your path, right?
Yes.
I love that.
Definitely.
So for those who don't know, can you tell us a little bit about what you do? I know you're a lighting designer, but what is you? What is your art?
Well, I think that my the number one thing being a theater artist is that I consider myself a collaborator in making work, in being in a room together with a bunch of people. I think one of the things that makes theater very unique is the fact that every step of the way we keep adding more people. We start with a playwright, and then it's a director, then it's designers, then it's actors, and then eventually we get to a point where we call them a technical rehearsal, which is like the step before we have audiences coming in. And that is the time when everyone is in the room doing work together. So the first thing I'll consider myself as being a collaborative artist, that I thrive on being in a room with a lot of people. Specifically, as a lighting designer, for live performances, that's usually what I specialize in doing. I am providing like I would say like a ephemeral emotional support, because no one actually ever think about lighting. I would challenge all of your listener and viewer, if they view it on Zoom, I'm not sure if they do, that if you wake up in the morning, try to pay attention to where you think about how the lighting is affecting you. It's one of those things where Jennifer Tipton, this really famous lighting designer, used to say that 99% of the people are completely unaware about the lighting, but 100% of the people is being affected by it. So my job as a theater lighting designer for live performances is I'm actually working in the background. I'm working on the ephemeral emotional feelings whenever I'm doing lighting for a specific scene. So it's a little bit of an abstract art form in a way for live performances.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't realize that lighting is everything. Even, for I think seasonal too, like, not having enough sunlight affects your moods and everything. So I think when, just as a theater lover, as a Broadway lover, when I think about, the performances, like the dimming of the lights or the sudden spotlights, it really elevates the moods. And I don't think like people realize how much lighting plays into bringing the whole act together, right? And I think your job is super important. So tell me, like, how do you, I have no idea how lighting designing works, but like, I know that it kind of brings everything to life. So when you're working, I know right now you're working on The Wizard of Oz at the Children's Theater Company, right?
Yes. Yeah.
So
it's coming up. Yeah.
I am a lover of the Wizard of Oz. I love it. So I can't imagine, your job is lighting. Like, how do you design it? Like, how do you put it together? Like, what kind of inspires you of how to design it?
Yeah, I think that the material Wizard of Oz lends itself really well in thinking about lighting, because it was like the film itself was exploring like Technicolor, right? Like back in the day, that was like one of the most like iconic thing about it. So color plays a very important role in this storytelling, and being a collaborative artist, we work together with the set designer and the lighting and the costume designer actually very closely. So one of the things that we like initially really talk about was how do we create this idea of black and white, when in fact, like, you don't see black and white, right? Like human automatically, your eyes see color. So we spent a bit of time talking about making the lighting feel like a little like sepia tone, a little sort of like devoid of color, something that is like a little bit muted. So the first thing I did was like thinking about how to make the light feel that way. And there were different choices of instrumentation and color that we can choose from. Like warm light, for example, on a wood tone will make it feel a little bit more sepia than would be if we put like color like a red light on the same wood tone. So I think a lot about like that kind of quality of the light for like when we're in Kansas. And then clearly when we like, the tornado happened, needs to feel a little scary. So the light is probably going to be a little isolated. There may be some even lightning stroke sort of vibe so that it feels a little dangerous, by selectively lighting different area of the stage, you help to make it a little bit more dangerous. Then once like she goes into from the beginning of Munchkinland, we decided that now we're going to play with color block, like a color block idea. So every different location, we kind of have some big bold color idea. Like in the scary forest, for example, things are going to feel very purpley, UV kind of vibe. Clearly, Emerald City have to be different shade of green. That's like the iconic idea of it. But really thinking about how the color can pop itself in these different scenes. The yellow brick road is actually made out of little LED light boxes on the road itself.
Wow.
So when they take a step, we can actually, kind of light it up as it go. So it's really trying to find like fun, like color ideas littered throughout the entire, the Oz land. And also simultaneously, the costume is also going to be really vibrant. So the lighting is going to try to bring it up. Usually, like, for example, if someone is wearing red, if the light have a little bit more red in it, it pops the red color out more. So thinking about that kind of way to bring those color out. So that's a way of, like, for me to like really think about the lighting. Like, how do we make something look sepia, and then how to make something like really colorful.
Wow, I think that's incredibly fascinating. You can't, when you think about theater or arts, like, I can't imagine if it was just a single lighting the whole play. It would just be kind of boring, right? It's like,
Yes.
There's just no, I love it and I love the lighting, but I don't think I ever, now that hearing you speak, I don't think I ever really thought of how it also plays into the emotions. And I love that.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
As being on that, like, speaking on the Wizard of Oz, what has been like the most exciting or unique thing about working on this particular production for you?
Well, first of all, I think that Minneapolis Children's Theater, actually, along with Seattle Children's Theater, which I know quite a bit in Seattle, they are actually some of the most sophisticated theater for young audiences, and that's one of the things that I feel really important. They really play on making work that are both aesthetically and message and like performance wise really sophisticated and detailed. So that's one of the things. And I know the artistic director Rick through another theater that he used to work at for many years, and we've always wanted to work together. And so when he took over the artistic directorship at Minneapolis Children's Theater, he really also wanted to continue the trend of elevating the sophistication of the work. And so that's part of what I'm really excited about. I did a show with Children's Theater before already, called An American's Tale. And it was an adaptation actually of the movie An American's Tale. And so the audience there like crave really detailed storytelling. And in this project particularly, we also was able to blend in with puppetry and projection. So we're introducing the audience to like this really vibrant, lively world using multiple different disciplines. So that was another reason that it got really excited in the way that we can like think about this.
Wow.
We have like this balloons, we have like a Glinda bubble, all these different like really detailed, interesting work.
Wow, that's so beautiful. I can tell you get very excited when speaking about your work. So on that, can you tell us what excites you more about what you do in your work after all these years?
I love doing the thing that excites me is really being in the room with a bunch of people that are all very passionately excited about bringing the work to audiences. A lot of my work, Wizard of Oz, is actually slightly unusual for me because a lot of my work is actually in new development, so brand new work. So it's always exciting to me when I get to revisit like a classic like that too, because that just isn't something I do very often actually.
Yeah.
I do a fair amount of musical, but not like, classic work like this. And also like such a iconic piece of Americana, honestly, because I grew up in Hong Kong. I actually never saw Wizard of Oz until I became an adult. So it's really interesting to hear about so many different people connection to this piece of work. So it's that's excites me a lot.
Oh, I love that. So I do want to ask, I know that the Children's Theater, well, correct me if I'm wrong, but you are also an Emmy award-winning lighting designer. Is that correct?
Not an Emmy.
Yes.
It's okay. I actually won an OB Sustaining Lighting Design Award, and I have been nominated for a couple times for a Drama Desk Award, which is for New York City. I've been nominated a couple times for different awards. The Drama Desk a couple of times, and I won. And I have an OB Sustaining Lighting Design Award, and I also have won an award called Henry Hughes, which is for my design of K-pop, which is a new musical that I did a couple years ago.
I love that. And K-pop is like very big right now.
Yes, it is. It is. Yeah, it is.
I love it too. So I absolutely love it. It's so interesting to me. So I do have a few questions that some people sent in here that they wanted to put you on the spot. Are you okay with that?
Sure.
All right. So these are some fun art questions for you.
Okay.
Someone sending me here. Janet, are you more of ballet or opera?
Opera. Actually, just saw an opera before I come see you.
Oh, I love that. Classical or pop?
Oh, definitely pop.
Oh, I love that. Well, you got to work on the K-pop, so I can see that. Great. Broadway or experimental theater?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I do a lot of experimental theater work. So I would say that's a tie, because like Broadway also have a lot of exciting different kind of work.
And I got a good one. Seattle or New York?
Oh, Seattle.
Really? Or Chicago?
Yes. Seattle. Actually, I mean, I love the landscape of Seattle.
Oh.
You know, it's I'm based in New York because that's a lot of my work. But I would definitely I love Seattle in terms of like the weather, the landscape, the people, you know. Yeah.
And I have another one. Teaching or designing?
Oh, that's an interesting one. Actually, philosophically, I don't separate the two, because I consider teaching the same way as designing.
Wow.
Because and the only difference is that students is always in progress. So there's no opening night for a student. Like they just, maybe when they graduate, but there's no like it's not a product driven process. Design, you always get to the point of like an opening night, and then the show is like, what we call frozen, like it can change. But there's no such thing as theater. So, but I consider teaching the same way I design.
Oh, I have never heard anyone refer to the way that you referred about your teaching and design and keeping it in the same thing. I think that is so beautiful. Thank you for that. Which leads me to, you are also an art professor. Is that correct?
Correct. I'm an arts professor with NYU.
NYU. Can you tell me about that? What do you teach? Like, what is your favorite part about that?
I teach. I'm with the Tisch Drama department, which is an undergraduate department. I focus on teaching undergrad. I teach lighting design and because I'm also a projection designer, so I also teach projection design, and I also teach like collaborative theater making. Those are the classes I teach. The thing that I love the most is honestly seeing a student grow in the 4 years that they are there with us. It is really remarkable to think about them like, when they first enter, which is like 17, 18, and then all of a sudden in 4 years, the amount of growth, the amount of discovery and changes that they go through is actually really amazing to watch. That's my favorite part.
Oh, wow. Have you ever gotten to work with some of your students later on in productions?
Yeah, I actually just finished a project that is opening tomorrow night at the public called Jessa. And 2 of the former students now they have graduated a couple of years ago, and they're now working on this production with me.
Wow, that's so great. I bet you're very proud saying like you got to be part of that development.
Yes, it is. It is. And it's always great, just to see them, like I've been teaching I've been teaching colleges for 20 years now, and I have students that graduated long time ago that I still keep in touch with. That's my favorite part of teaching.
Oh, wow. That's wonderful. I have another question that's coming up for someone sending me a question here. Hello, Liz is sending a question. Why do you believe that arts are so important for communities?
Oh, that's a really great one. I think that art is culture, is communication, it's breaking down barriers. I mean, the fact that like through the arts, you and I are talking right now, which is remarkable, right? Because we may never meet each other if we don't have this opportunity. I think art is also like really allow us to enrich our knowledge of the world. And I used to, when I teach, particularly non-art major, I usually ask them a question. Like I ask them if they can imagine a world without art. And I'm not talking about like abstractly. I'm not talking about like there will be no like, empathy and so on, those kind of things. I'm talking about like really tangible stuff. And pretty soon in the class, we realized that if there's no art, there will be no color. There will be no music. We wouldn't even like, all the stuff that we right now, like your phone can play music, it won't be, right? And you're realizing that art is actually, even on a philosophical, like aside from philosophical standpoint, practically, without art, I don't even know what the world actually looks like. That's actually how foundational art actually is. Plus, in addition, it do all the other things that I said. It, creates empathy. It makes us meet each other and understand different culture and so on and so forth. So that's, my answer of why I think art is important.
That is just so beautiful. I know I keep saying that, but everything that is coming out of your mouth of someone who loves art and theater is just, I love. So sticking on to kind of tagging on to the question that Liz asked about the importance of art and community, like what role do you think that theater programs have, I guess the programs play inspiring young people? I know you work with the children's theater. What would you say to that? Like, what role do you think theater programs play in inspiring new generations and young people? And as a professor, of course.
Well, first of all, I think it's like understanding. Because I think that almost every I think every pieces of art is aimed to ask the viewer to understand something, to engage with something. And I think that that's, like Wizard of Oz, clearly, the courage, the friendship, the idea of like realizing one's own important like strength, right? I think that that's really important to for young people, for the next generation, because I think that the world sometimes can feel a little bit like overwhelming and disappointing sometimes.
Yeah.
So I think that through the arts, it gives you hope. It asks you to imagine a different world, I think, which is really important, and also showing them that it's also possible. So I think that all those things make art very, very important. Arts like theater program, and also theater is live. Like you're literally in the room, feeling the actors breathing with you, like laughing with you, and doing things like engaging with you in this way. That I think it really inspire young people to be positive, to go out and like imagine a better world.
Yeah, I love that. And rerouting into the art of lighting designing, like what would you say? Actually, I want to ask you a question. I know you just said that you had just gone to an opera before the interview. Like when you go to either a play or an opera or a ballet or whatever production that you go to, are you ever judgmental of the lighting? Ever like, that could have been warmer?
I actually try really, really hard to not do that. I mean, once in a while, like, yes, it's hard, it's human. But I really want to enjoy the piece, like, I when I go see work, I really want to see the work and experience it in its totality. So I try not to do that, once in a while, I may think that, I don't know if that color is the best color for, the piece of scenery, but I try not to do that. as much as I can.
Yeah, I would. I'd be like, I could do that better. No, I'm just kidding. but
It's just human nature, though. I think that's just human nature.
Yeah, but sticking on of the beautiful work that you do for people who maybe are new to theater or productions, like what would you say to pay attention to when it comes to the art of lighting? Not just the play itself, but like what would you say to look out for to encapsulate the emotions of what the lighting design does to bring a whole production together?
I think that if you are looking at a musical, for example, I think definitely looking at rhythm and how it responds to music, how it responds to also like choreography. I mean, earlier on there was a question about ballet or opera. I think that one of the interesting about opera is that it encompasses like dance and music and acting together. So I think that which is really really great for lighting designer, because lighting, Jennifer Tipton used to say that lighting is music for the eye. So I definitely think that when you go see a musical, particularly, you pay attention to how the light is moving with music and the choreography on stage.
I love that. What has been your, I don't want to say greatest accomplishment, but like what has been one of the projects that you have just been like, this was my best work yet?
I did a piece called Oratorio for Living Things with Heather Christian, who have just been like recently awarded a MacArthur Genius Award. She's a composer. Yeah, she's a really really fascinating, interesting composer. And the piece asked really big question about like time and existence, and it does not have any narrative in the same way like a story. It doesn't like have beginning, middle, and end. But it asked the audience to think about existence, and through like cosmic time, through sort of like the micro and the macro of the universe. So I really loved that piece because was really challenging to design something that really the idea of the piece isn't like the beginning, middle, and end kind of story, but yet really creating an environment for audiences to also get a question of existence. And I really love that piece of theater that we were able to make.
Wow, I love that. And so are there any productions that you're able to share of like what you're working on now aside from The Wizard of Oz?
Well, I'm in Chicago because I'm doing a immersive theater piece called Theater of the Mind. It is actually by David Byrne, and it has 15 rooms that do have a story, that have a narrative, that people get to experience every room, but every room is also a scientific experiment.
Oh.
And lighting play a really big part in that, in creating those experiments. And it's about sort of neuroscience and how our mind don't always remember the same thing, and identity. So it's a really interesting piece that I'm working on here in Chicago that opened next week, actually. And then I just finished, there's a piece called Jessa that opened tomorrow, which is a new play in New York City about 4 Korean sisters working through, their relationship, that I'm also very proud of. So those are the 2 things I can think of immediately, aside from Wizard of Oz.
I love that. Oh, that's so great. Shucks, I don't live in Chicago or New York or any, but I know there's that brings me to a next question. Do you have any productions or work that you are going to be working on in the state of Washington, or that you maybe recommend that you helped design?
Unfortunately, I don't, because I actually this last year, the Broadway touring production of Kimberly Kimball was in Seattle. I think maybe 2 months ago, and then I did do a piece with On the Boards, also in November. So both of those pieces was like last year. So unfortunately, I don't have anything coming up.
You'll have to let us know when you're back in Washington so we can go check out your work. And next time I'm going to be more observant and see how the lighting makes me feel.
Oh, thanks. Thank you. I will definitely let you know.
Yeah. So I know you're working on the Wizard of Oz, but I know you've worked across many different types of productions, but is there a project that really stands out to you that you would say was very meaningful in your career?
There are so many. I think Kimberly Kimball is a very meaningful. It was a Broadway production here in, I think, I'm trying to see, is it 2022? I think fall. We opened fall of 2022. I know the pandemic makes you feel like it's been like decades. That times kind of function weirdly. I definitely think that Kimberly Kimball was one of the production that it was my first Broadway production. But B, it was also a really interesting story. It was a story about someone who have a disease that make them age four times faster than normal people. So usually by the time you're 18, you're kind of like very likely to be passed away. So the piece is like really interesting in that way because Jessica Stone, the director, told me that she said that we can't make people cry from minute number 1 of the musical. We have to bring them some joy. And so I was very proud of how we were able to do that as a team. That, you laugh and you cry and but and also feel like hopeful at the same time, which is a really special piece.
I feel like I have to make a little trip to Chicago or New York or something at this point. Thank you so much. Well, we haven't. I do want to take a little quick moment to say hello to Alice Fong, who's watching, and George, thank you, and for some of the questions that had coming in. I just got another question of an interested art lover that says, Miss Janet, if you could design lighting for any show in history, what would it be?
Ooh, any show in history? That's a tough one.
Or any show, I guess.
Any show. I always like Frankenstein. I think that's really fun because it plays with electricity. I think that's the one thing that I really immediately think about. I also would love to. This is something I haven't done very much. I would love to design a concert, for, like, I don't know, for Beyonce, for,
K-pop.
K-pop. Like, I think a real live concert will be kind of fun.
Oh, I think that would be amazing. Absolutely. I can see it now. So Beyonce, that would be an amazing show.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
I don't know. I could also design for 9-inch Nail. I can also design for, I don't know. I think a concert will be kind of fun.
What about film?
I actually love seeing film. I have not worked on that much film. I think I would like to tackle it someday.
Oh, have you worked on film?
I worked on a puppetry film called Dante Inferno many years ago because I also do puppetry work. Back when I was taking classes at University of Washington, Miss Aurora Valentini teaches puppetry there, so I took some puppetry classes back then, and so I did a Dante's Inferno film. I do have to say, because I do projection design, sometimes we have to record, get footages. So I've done a little bit of that, like green screening, a couple of different shot of different content of people dancing or being in a scene. So I do a little bit of that.
Yeah. Oh. And have you ever gotten a chance to be part of the cast and not the lighting?
I have performed as a puppeteer. I've never performed as like a human actor. I don't think I can. I'm just not really that is just really not the thing that I like to do. But I've definitely performed as a puppeteer quite a few times. And I have a solo show that I did many years ago that is based on a Kafka short story. So I perform as a puppeteer.
Oh wow. I'll have to see that. You'll have to make a little video or come see us again on this interview and give us a little performance.
Great, definitely.
So I think time is going by very fast, but I do want to ask, and especially in Tacoma, we're so art lovers, and theater is really making a place within the community over here. I know New York and Chicago, that's very like present, and it's very much growing here in the community. So, what advice would you give, young creatives who maybe are not about performance but do want to explore the arts, such as kind of what you do now? What advice would you like to give for people who want to break into that field that isn't performative but want to still be part of creating the performance?
Well, I think that the first thing is be fearless, because,
Mm.
just try it. I would just say, get your hands in it and just try it. I also know that, at least, like, my feeling about Washington State in general, is that I feel like people there are really the artists that I've all met in Washington and in Seattle and such. They're very generous human beings. So I would say, don't be afraid to just go up and ask them, like, what you can do. What are the things that you're interested? Like, go see a show, and then you can like say, oh, I'm really interested in like helping with the costume, or I'm really interested in helping with the lighting, and just be fearless and ask. And then the last piece of advice I would say is, like, also make your own work. Get some friends together and see what you can do. That's what
That's
I would say.
such wonderful advice. And ever think about teaching at UW?
Actually, a good friend of mine, Chi Wong Yang, is a teacher there, and we have different times asked me to guest lecture there. So I've done it like I think twice.
Oh wow, that's wonderful.
Yeah,
And I
but
know
I
we
would.
get viewers here kind of not just in Washington, but sometimes we get viewers everywhere. So you are a professor now, right? You're not like taking a break. You're active at NYU.
No, I'm actively teaching at NYU. Yes, I have a full-time arts professor job with NYU.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And are you like a social media person? There are people who want to follow your art. Are you pretty present? I know I already saw your website and it's beautiful, and I think you're a beautiful individual in the arts, but can anyone who's like kind of interested in following like what you do and the art that you do and the projects you're involved with, is there anywhere that we can check that out?
Yeah, definitely. I'm on Instagram. It's just like at Jeanette_Yu. Just my first name and my last name. I'm definitely on that, and I'm also on Facebook. And the same thing, you can find me with Jeanette Yu, and I'm on both of those things. I'm not quite on other things yet. I think I have a presence on Thread, but I'm not a TikTok person. Maybe I
Yeah.
will. You know.
Maybe.
Yes. Maybe.
Maybe when you do Beyonce's concert, we can check you out on TikTok.
There you go.
Well, that would be so interesting to see. They're having a performance here for the I think it's called the K-pop Demon Hunters, the Huntrix. They're
Yep.
like a local mom and daughter business is putting together a little production to create like a concert, and I know they're having like a lot of like lighting, also a production, and I got to see a little bit on Instagram, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I think the lighting made the show. I think you can agree that lighting is everything.
Yes. Well, without lighting, you can't see anything. So I would say that that's like step one.
Yeah, absolutely. So now that you said that you would love to do a concert, I'm going to be looking on your Instagram and Facebook to follow you, and I'd love to go to one of those concerts.
Oh, thanks. Thank you.
I know the time went by so fast, and I'm so thankful that you are a guest tonight in the show. Is there anything that you would like to tell us about the current production of The Wizard of Oz?
No, just tell your friends in Minneapolis, or if you want to make a trip, I'm
Yeah.
sure that it will be. I mean, also Minneapolis in April is actually really nice.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it's springtime. The Midwest gets very cold and dreary kind of in the winter, but spring, Minneapolis is actually really pretty.
Mm. And I know, thank you for that tip. I know that there is the Seattle Children's Theater. Does the Wizard of Oz production come here?
I don't think so. I don't think so. But who knows? I mean, these days there's actually a lot of theater doing co-production. So maybe one day that they will come to Seattle.
Maybe you can sprinkle a little juice in there to have them come over here. Maybe we'll meet you in person.
There you go. Also, hey, Seattle Children's Theater, if you're listening, I will, you can always hire me and I will come.
Do you hear that, Seattle Children's Theater? Can you please hire Janet so we can go see her beautiful work?
Thanks.
Oh, well, I appreciate you so much, Janet, for being a guest on the show today. Thank you. I love arts. I'm so glad you were willing and able to do this to kind of inspire, this community on art is. And I love what you said about like everything is art. I absolutely 100% agree. No matter what we do, everything is art. And it's so important to form it all together.
Yeah, well, definitely. And thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited. To be connected this way.
Yes, me too. So awesome for Zoom, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Well, we're going to be following you, and we're going to put in the comments here where we can find you on Instagram and Facebook and your website and everything, and be following you and hopefully see you at the Beyonce concert.
Me too. Thank you so much.
No, thank you. I know it's a little late today, but again, thank you so very much for being a guest today, and we'll be following you.
Thanks.
Well, I'm sending you a huge hug to you, Janet, and thank you again.
Thank you.
And you
bye
have
to
a
everybody
beautiful
who's
night.
listening. Yeah, thank you so much.
All right,
Bye.
we'll see you. Bye.
Bye.